So here we are. I'm just headed toward my office, it's just a log on the ground with a bit of bedrock near it. It's a good place to sit. So in this video, I'm not going to do so much a talk. It's not going to be as much of a vlog as mine usually are. Hopefully it won't be as rambly. So I'm going to be talking about a topic of much interest to me, which is personality traits. It's the five-factor personality. It's the five-factor model, remembered with the acronym OCEAN. So OCEAN is for openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. So I am just really interested in psychology and stuff, and I started to just see this, one of these YouTube creators who is a licensed psychologist or something. Dr. Grande, that's his name. He has a bunch of videos about psychology type things like personality disorders I'm really interested in. I was even interested in them quite a lot before it was suggested to me that I might have borderline personality disorder. So that's another angle where I might be interested in how certain personality traits intersect with different personality disorders and other mental health stuff. But anyway, okay, so this is what I did. I was learning all about it and I was interested and I was like, well, I wonder how I relate to these things. Of course, I had ideas of how I was going to score in the different traits. Like, I wasn't surprised I scored high in openness to experience. So I took a test, a free test online. And I don't know how the scoring worked on this test, but like my score, some of the scores are over 100, which was a really high score. Like openness to experience. Agreeableness is my high score, 110 I scored in agreeableness. So agreeableness, then next is openness to experience, 103. It said high for that. Yeah. And then 96 in neuroticism, which is pretty widely viewed negatively. It has a lot of negative, it means something negative the higher your neuroticism score is. And then down to conscientiousness at 80, but it says that's still high. And then one it says is low, 71 is extroversion. So anyway, I wrote down a little synopsis about each one. So it said about my neuroticism. Easily upset, people consider you sensitive and emotional. Yeah, for sure. Like, I do jive with that. Yeah, I am sensitive. People say I'm sensitive. My husband actually says I'm sensitive all the time. And, like, I got called a crybaby in school and stuff. Yeah. Sensitive and emotional. Yeah, there's no question. I do get really upset sometimes. I can get upset in certain ways by things. So then, extroversion, it says low, meaning I'm introverted, reserved and quiet. I think a lot of times people would think that about me, that I'm reserved and quiet, which I can be, but also I can be like a really chatterbox and like can't shut up. Like if you were stuck in the car with me, I would be chatting you up so much, like kind of compulsively maybe. But anyway, it said I'm low in that, and that's an interesting trait. We'll get into that further on in the video. Or actually, it'll be in the next video, I'll say. So then, openness to experience. Curious, imaginative, and creative. I think for this one, almost every single facet of the trait openness I had high, so it makes a lot of sense. Curious, imaginative, creative, yeah, for sure. And then agreeableness, pleasant, sympathetic, and cooperative. See, that was my high score. And yeah, I think people do see me that way. Definitely, I am, well, I'm a people pleaser. It's hard not to be, that's pretty cooperative. I'm always on the wanting harmony, not so much with being competitive. I think, definitely you could say it that way. And then conscientiousness. I have high conscientiousness. People regard me as reliable and hardworking, set clear goals, and pursue them with determination. See, with that part, I wish it was separated because people regard me as reliable and hardworking. I think that part definitely is true. And then on the next part, set clear goals and pursue them with determination. I don't think I set clear goals because that's like planning, and planning is really. I always hated goals. But anyway, okay, so that's how we're starting out. So this is how I scored on the test. I did it a couple of times with very similar results. So now we'll flip back in my little notebook. Oops, I think I might have went too far. Oh, here we are. Okay. Right, so the first one I ended up writing about was neuroticism. Resentful and bitter. I feel like I'm not being treated fairly. If I feel like I'm not being treated fairly, I'm sensitive to that. This is the anger facet within neuroticism. Yeah, so there's anger and anxiety and depression. Oh, right. And then he noted in that video about anxiety and depression as facets of neuroticism, how they are both, like, it's not the same as the mental disorder, like having an anxiety disorder or having major depressive disorder. But yeah, so I had high anxiety and depression. Oh, okay, I skipped a little ahead in my book here and I see what I'm saying. Okay, so for, yeah, excitement seeking. Okay, why don't we start with extroversion, because that seems like kind of how I started off here. Do I really have high activity level? Yeah, I was questioning how it turned out with the facets. Okay, so for extroversion, it said I'm low. So for friendliness, it said my score was low, and also gregariousness and assertiveness. So, and then, which I'm not surprised about, the assertiveness. And I have high excitement seeking and cheerfulness. I do have positive emotion, like, for sure. I always thought that that was more associated with, like I was kind of seeing depressive feelings, like the depression that you see as a facet of neuroticism. I always assumed that was kind of the other side of the coin of, like, cheerfulness. It's like the opposite. Like, it was more related, but it's actually, that's not the best way to conceptualize it. Anyway, easily bored, seek stimulation. That's because of the excitement seeking. Like to move around a lot, keep busy. It seems like others have a much more fast-paced lifestyle than me. Yeah, interesting. That is interesting. Like, other people do more social things, but I just like to be doing stuff. Energy, using energy, getting my energy out. Anyway, so this is the description I wrote to like conclude this description of extroversion here. Don't reach out to others and perceived as distant and reserved. Need for privacy and time to themselves is greater. See, I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know. Tend not to talk much and let others control activities of groups. Well, definitely that, yeah. The lack of assertiveness, yeah. Like, I'm a people pleaser. I think that is noticeable stuff. Okay, so then moving along, that's extroversion. Then, oh no, yeah, here I wrote about it. Low scores on friendliness, gregariousness, and assertiveness, but then high scores on activity level, excitement seeking, and cheerfulness. So I don't take charge, avoid crowds, and come off as distant, but I'm cheery and like doing fun things at a fast pace. It does seem like a bit of an odd combination. I've often sensed that I'm not coming off well to people. I suspected I was being perceived as distant. I had a teacher from school who I contacted, who I asked about, I don't know, like, about what she thought of my presentation. I don't know. I don't have a diagnosis or anything. And she was a she was a grade 7 teacher. She said about me that I seemed aloof. and also didn't suffer fools gladly. Isn't that interesting? That was an interesting observation, I thought. I wasn't very well liked, really. And then I thought about that more, and I thought, like, could relate to being direct, like, and being frank and straightforward, like an autistic trait. And yeah, so that's extroversion. Yeah, that's an interesting one to do back to back. Extroversion and neuroticism. Oh, wait, no, we didn't do neuroticism yet, did we? Let's see here. Neuroticism would be somewhere here too. Yeah. I wonder what types of troubles one find themselves in when they're easily bored. Also excitement seeking and energetic, so in summation, I do get angry, sad, and freaked out, worry what people think of me, can panic at times, and have a hard time resisting indulgence. In other words, I experience a wide range and depth of emotion, care about others' opinions of me, overindulge, and can panic in moments of pressure. Yeah, that seemed like an intense one to put together. So that was neuroticism. And the next one is kind of a higher note, openness to experience. And I did really like that first part, imaginative, creative, from down to earth, conventional. Yeah, I guess I'm not that down to earth. I'm definitely very imaginative. Let's see, imagination. Yeah, I had the max imagination, max artistic interest, maxed emotionality, all for openness to experience. And then I had high intellect and liberalism, but low adventurousness, it said. Yeah. Bothered by break in routine, put off schedule, uncomfortable with change, prefer familiar routines. Yeah. And doesn't that sound so autistic, too? But anyway, yeah. And also even the emotionality, you could say, too. I just am such a lover of beauty, like artistic interests. Yeah, for sure. And such imagination. Intellect, yeah, I love puzzles and I love challenge, a mental challenge. Like that is definitely my type of thing. And also, I'm not as traditional. I'm more of, let's do what makes sense for us now. I'm more unconventional, definitely. Openness to experience is a very one-sided trait for me. Like I'm high in almost every facet. See, like I was saying, some of them are more interesting than others. Like extroversion was a really mixed bag there for me. Neuroticism, not at all. Okay, so moving along to the next one, agreeableness here. Oh, did I not read a summary about agreeableness? So I am high in, I'm maxed out on trust and almost maxed on altruism and cooperation. And all of them are high. Morality, modesty, and sympathy, that's the rest. My lowest score on these is 17. I'm pretty sure it's out of 20, yeah. So, trust, morality, altruism, cooperation, modesty, and sympathy. Those are the facets of agreeableness. Yeah, morality has to do with being frank and sincere. Yeah, so I'm really high in that. I have such a high level of trust that it could be a problem for me at times. Like I'm naive and gullible and stuff. And also having such a high level of cooperation is also difficult because sometimes it's like you're at odds with your own viewpoint. Like you need to stand up for yourself somewhat too, like assertiveness. Surely those must be kind of opposing each other, right? Cooperation and assertiveness. Anyway, so that is agreeableness. Oh yeah, here's my summations. I'm a highly imaginative lover of beauty who understands how I feel, but sometimes I try to obscure the intensity of my emotion. I know I'm too intense. Like, I feel like I've gotten always so much feedback in my life about that I'm just too intense. Love philosophy, intellectual conversation, love to play with ideas. I'm unconventional, but I can have a hard time with change. I'm disturbed by a break in my routine. So that was the openness to experience summation. And then I did agreeableness. I can be too trusting. I'm honest and straightforward, like to be helpful, have difficulty with confrontation, modest and tender-hearted to a fault. That trait of agreeableness is very slanted into being highly agreeable. And there are times I wish I was more disagreeable, even looking up to people for being opportunistic where I'm not. Right, and then I was down to only one left. Conscientiousness is the only one left. So conscientiousness has self-efficacy, which I was high. Orderliness, high it says, but it's only 13. Dutifulness, achievement, striving, I'm almost at the max on that. Self-discipline, low it says, but that's at 10. Cautiousness, 5, really low. See, so I had a mixed bag on this one too. 3 kind of lower, 1's super low, but cautiousness is the low one. And then almost maxed achievement striving. So, achievement striving, I think of that as being to do with, like, being a perfectionist. And self-efficacy, I'm surprised that's a... Confidence in one's ability to accomplish things. Yeah, I guess I do have that. And orderliness, I'm not the worst. And dutiful, I definitely am. Like, that makes sense to me. Self-discipline, why is self-discipline so low? It says low. Ability to persist with difficult or unpleasant tasks until completed. I guess it's hard for me. Yeah, it is. And cautiousness. Often say or do first thing that comes to mind without deliberating alternatives and probable consequences of those alternatives. Yeah, wow. Yeah. And hence comes my next little piece of this series, I guess, will be about the traits that are involved with impulsivity that I learned about and how they relate to how I scored. So, thanks for listening if you did. See you guys.